day, that finally changed. My parents banned all technology since I was born, so every day my mom ran a metal detector over me at the door. "You know the rules," she'd say. "Screens rot your brain. No technology until you're 18. I nodded, holding back tears, because I had no friends and no life. But that day, my uncle was waiting on the couch. He pulled me aside, slipped an iPad into my hands and whispered, "Trust me, you'll thank me later." I had no idea what he meant, but I snuck it into my room with shaking hands, praying my parents wouldn't find out. That night, I was so excited I hid under my blanket and downloaded Fortnite. And for the first time ever, I was playing with the kids who made fun of me. I was the first person to die, but I laughed anyway, finally feeling normal. Then footsteps pounded down the hall. I heard laughing. "What are you doing in there?" my mom screamed. I shoved the iPad under my mattress just as they burst through the door. My dad tore through my drawers while my mom flipped my backpack upside down, and I stopped breathing every time they got close. She crossed her arms. "Get up, we're checking your bed." My whole body shook as she checked under the bed, but she missed it. For 1 second, I thought I was safe. Then my dad lifted the mattress, and the iPad slid onto the floor. "An iPad? Who gave this to you?" my mom shrieked. "My uncle," I whispered. "That's it. No technology until you're 30. Then my dad grabbed his keys. "And we're going to your uncle's right now." At my uncle's door, my parents exploded. "You gave him poison behind our backs and ruined everything," my mom screamed, shoving the iPad at his chest. "Now he's banned until he's 30. I stood behind them, head down, tears dripping off my chin, too defeated to speak. But my uncle didn't take the iPad. He pointed at me. "Your son has no friends. He's bullied every day because of your stupid rule." I looked up, wiping my tears. I gave him that iPad because I was him once, and I swore I'd never let it happen to another kid. He's staying here every weekend so he can be a kid, starting today. My parents opened their mouths, but nothing came out, knowing my uncle was right. He grabbed me and shut the door on them. "Told you you'd thank me later." I smiled and bolted to his PS5. "Now teach me how to win dubs on Fortnite." I was in the house when I heard my son scream at the top of his lungs, and when I ran outside, his hands were clawing at his throat. I dropped to my knees beside him. "Buddy, what's wrong?" But he couldn't get a word out, his lips starting to swell. Then I saw the smear of purple on his hands, and the bush behind him, covered in berries that had never been in my yard before. My heart was pounding, because I'd just won full custody, and now he was choking in my arms. I called 911 and told them everything. When I looked back, my son's throat was closing, his face going blue. Then I saw her, my ex-wife, who lost custody at the edge of the yard, police cars already pulling up behind her. She pointed at me and shrieked, "Those berries are poisonous! He keeps them in his yard! He's trying to kill our son!" She was trying to frame me as the bad guy, but my son was dying, so I turned him over and pounded his back to force the berries out. "Look, he's hurting him! Somebody stop him!" she screamed. A few purple berries flew from his mouth, but he still couldn't breathe. Then I remembered I kept an EpiPen inside, so I sprinted in, grabbed it, and slammed it into his thigh. He gasped, air finally filling his lungs, but before I could even hold him, the officers threw me to the ground and cuffed me. My ex scooped up our son, sobbing, "It's okay, my son. Mommy's got you now. Daddy's dangerous." I'd just won full custody, and now I was losing him over her lie. The cops dragged me toward the police car as my son coughed on the grass, the EpiPen finally working. "I love my son. Please, I didn't do this," I begged, but no one listened. Then a small voice croaked out, "Wait, Daddy didn't do it." Everyone froze and looked at him. My son pointed a shaking finger at his mother. "My mommy gave me the berries. She put it in his bush and said they were candy." My fists clenched. "You gave him berries he was allergic to. Are you insane?" The officers turned to my ex, whose face went white. "Ma'am, did you know he was allergic?" She stammered. I didn't know he had allergies. That was all it took." The cops let go of me and moved toward her, and as they turned her around to cuff her, a handful of purple berries tumbled out from her sleeve. I pulled my son into my arms. "This is exactly why you lost custody." I told my mom, "Can I please have no mayo on my sandwich?" But when she slid the plate across the table, the bread had mayo smeared all over it. I pushed it back, but she instantly got in my face. "Stop being so spoiled and entitled. Eat what you're given." Later that night, Dad ordered pizza, but it had anchovies even when I asked for none. And when I picked every anchovy off, my parents glared at me with their fists shaking in anger. The next morning, Mom made eggs with olives, knowing I hated olives. And when I refused to eat them, Dad slammed his fork on the table. "That's it. You're gonna learn to like what you're given one way or another." Dad marched me up to my room, and Mom came in holding a jar of mayo, a tin of anchovies, and a jar of olives. I laughed. "You really think I'll be eating that?" But then Dad wrapped a padlock around my door handle. "You need 3 keys to unlock this padlock. There's 1 key at the bottom of each jar. You're not leaving your room until you eat everything in front of you and get those keys." He placed a chain on the latch and slammed the door, locking it from the outside. I stared at the spoon and 3 of the worst things I'd ever smelled, and my hands shook as I couldn't understand understand why my parents couldn't just accept I didn't like certain foods. 2 hours in, I was banging on the door, screaming to be let out, but Dad just yelled, "Not until you eat everything." I gulped and sat down, but as soon as I ate a spoonful of mayo, my stomach turned. I gagged into my sleeve, knowing I'd never get out, but then I noticed my old gym bag under the bed and got a crazy idea. I grinned and dumped the pound of mayo into my bag. Just wait till they see this. Then I did the same with the anchovies and the olives. The smell made me nearly sick as anchovy oil trickled through my bag, but I fished the 3 keys out from the bottom of each jar and unlocked my door. I was free, but I wasn't done. I left the anchovy mayo bag sitting on my parents' bed and calmly walked downstairs. My mom instantly grinned. See, that wasn't so bad. No more picky eating. But I grinned back at her. I didn't eat it. I threw it all out. Dad stood up so fast his chair scraped. "You what? Where did it go?" I laughed. "I put it in a bag, but don't worry. Since you two love mayo and anchovies and olives so much, I left the whole bag in your room so you could eat it." Their faces went purple and they bolted up the stairs. Mom never gave me mayo again. I went for a jump shot during recess, and the new kid Caleb punched me in the face while I was in the air. I fell on the ground hard and hit my head, but he simply grabbed the ball, no blood, no foul, then ran down the other end and scored. I got up clutching my head, but next time I grabbed the ball, he shoulder tackled me like this was football. "Where I'm from, this is soft." He stood over me. I looked around and saw everyone scared of him because he was buff and had at least 5 inches on everyone. The next day during recess, Caleb tripped the smallest kid on the court. I clenched my fists, but knew there was nothing I could do. My friends cleared out, no longer wanting to play with him, and that's when Caleb's eyes locked onto me. "Me and you, one-on-one." He threw the ball at my chest. The first play, Caleb pushed me into a metal pole and my nose started bleeding. But the next time I got the ball, I threw up a shot. He shoved me to the floor, but the ball was already in the air. It swished and everyone cheered. I grinned from the floor, and one bitch, but suddenly Caleb clenched his teeth. My heart sank as he raised his shoe, and he stomped on my arm hard before I could move it. I screamed in pain as it was bent the wrong way, while Caleb laughed. "Where's your and one now?" I spent a week in the hospital with a broken arm, and when I came back with my arm in a cast, Caleb had again forced everyone to play. I watched him tackle another kid, and had enough. I stepped onto the court. Caleb smirked. "You want your other arm broken? Remember, no blood, no foul." But I just nodded, because I had a plan. The first time Caleb caught the ball and drove to the rim, I waited until he was in the air. Then I instantly got under him and bent over. Caleb's eyes widened in horror as he realized what I was doing, and his knees hit my hip, sending him flying over me. He landed face first on the concrete he'd shoved me, and started groaning in pain. 3 of his teeth were scattered around him as red pooled under his face. I knelt down. "No blood, no foul, Caleb." He came back to school 4 weeks later, but when I took a shot, he tried to defend normally. We still let him play, but he never tried to injure anyone again. I was standing next to my brother Otto at his wedding when he stepped up to the mic, unfolded a piece of paper, and started reading the vows I wrote for my fiancée. I had left that paper on the kitchen counter at my parents' house. Me and my wife gripped our terminally ill son's hand, trying to fight off the tears, but he weakly pressed a small metal circle into my lap. "I found this piece of metal, Dad. Promise me you'll wear it." It had "Super Cop Dad" written on it, and he used the last bit of his strength to weakly pin it to my chest. "I'm so happy I got to have you as my parents." He said his last words and fell back, and tears fell from my eyes as he flatlined. I walked into my station next morning, gently caressing the circle on my chest, feeling numb when my chief got in my face. "What's that stupid circle on your chest?" "Super Cop Dad." He squinted closer. "I'm throwing this away. It's unprofessional." His hand shot towards it, but I instantly stepped back, feeling my fists curl in anger. "My son gave it to me. He died yesterday." The chief went quiet, then shook his head. "Then bring flowers to his grave or something. But here you follow dress code." I was about to crash out, but suddenly our radio crackled. A 911 call was coming through for an armed robbery at 17 Oak Hill Avenue. My hand instantly flew over my mouth as that was my address, and my wife was at home. Me and the chief sprinted to the car, my hands trembling on the wheel. My heart raced because I was minutes away from losing my wife and son within 24 hours of each other, but I could barely even think because the chief just kept yelling about how unprofessional the metal circle looked if we made an arrest. We pulled into my driveway, and I immediately got out, sprinting to the door with my firearm raised. I kicked it down, not having time to use my key, and my jaw instantly dropped. My wife was in the kitchen, tied up on the floor with her face bruised. Her eyes burst open as she saw me, and she tried screaming through her gag. I ran towards her, But suddenly the intruder popped out from behind the kitchen door. He shot before I had time to react, and my life flashed before my eyes as I realized my wife was about to watch me die. But then the bullet hit the super cop dad circle on my chest. It bounced back and lodged into the robber's kneecap. He fell to the floor screaming, and my chief instantly ran towards him, cuffing him while he shrieked in pain. I dropped to my knees, untying my wife, and we both held each other sobbing. "He saved our life," she cried into my chest. "Our son saved us." I took off the super cop dad circle. It was dented, it was perfect, and it had saved our life. I squeezed it in my palm and told the chief I was wearing it whether he liked it or not. I was babysitting my grandma's pet hermit crab when I was crying at my mom's open casket in our living room when I saw my brother lean over her and slip the wedding ring off her finger, putting it in his pocket. He cackled under his breath and glanced around to see if anyone had noticed before walking away. I immediately grabbed his arm, tears running down my face. "Bro, are you stealing from our dead mom?" But he shrugged me off. My throat tightened because mom made me promise to bury her with that ring, so I couldn't let him get away with this. I pulled him aside, keeping my voice low because my whole family was grieving behind us. "Put it back. She wanted to be buried with it." He pushed my chest. "She's dead, bro. She doesn't need it." "But I do." My fists clenched, and he pointed at the coin collection sitting on mom's memory table. "She left me that piece of garbage as inheritance. You all got hella money, so I'm going to sell this ring and get what I'm owed." I took a deep breath, trying not to fight him for disrespecting our mom. "Put the ring back now, or I'm telling everyone you stole it." He dangled it in front of my face. "You really want to ruin mom's funeral over a ring? You do that to her? How selfish are you?" His words twisted my stomach, and I almost believed I was the bad guy. He started sprinting towards the back door, getting away. But then I looked at my mom lying there, and I knew I couldn't